Look at almost any modern nation, and you'll find a complex mix of different languages, religions, and ethnic identities sharing the same borders. When you force these distinct groups together under one government, they don't automatically blend into a single uniform society. The most common instinct in these situations is majoritarianism. This is a political concept where the largest group in a society believes it has the right to rule exactly as it wants. It feels natural. After all, the majority wins, right? But when a majority consistently overrides minority voices to get its way, that instinct becomes dangerous. In the mid-20th century, two nations faced this exact problem. Sri Lanka and Belgium were both deeply divided along ethnic and linguistic lines. They effectively ran a historical A/B test on how to handle diversity, choosing completely opposite paths to solve the same crisis. The divergence between these two countries shows that the decision to hoard power or share it determines whether a nation holds together or collapses. When Sri Lanka gained independence in 1948, the country inherited a society split down the middle. Almost immediately, tensions flared between its two main ethnic groups over who would control the newly formed government. This chart shows the demographic breakdown of Sri Lanka at the time. You can clearly see a massive numerical advantage for the Sinhala population, making up 74% of the country, while the Tamil minority accounted for just 18%. The Sinhala leaders used that numerical advantage to lock down control. In 1956, they passed an act making Sinhala the only official language, ignoring Tamil completely. They followed up with preferential policies that handed university positions and government jobs to Sinhala applicants. Finally, they wrote a new constitution that explicitly mandated the state to protect and foster Buddhism, the religion of the Sinhala majority. The Tamil population watched their political rights vanish. They were shut out of the economy, their language was dismissed, and they realized the government was actively designing laws to discriminate against them. Trust in the state completely collapsed. That systematic hoarding of power triggered a brutal civil war. The conflict lasted until 2009, devastating the country's social and economic life, and leaving thousands dead or missing on both sides. Using sheer numbers to silence a minority did not secure a strong, unified Sri Lanka. It fractured the state and tore the country apart for everyone involved. Now look at Belgium. It is a small European country that faced a nearly identical crisis, torn between a Dutch-speaking community and a French-speaking community. This stylized map shows the geographic split. The Dutch-speaking population holds the majority in the country overall, living mostly in the northern Flanders region. But there is a massive complication. In the capital city of Brussels, the demographics invert entirely, and the French-speaking population forms an 80% majority. Rather than fighting over who gets to dictate the rules, Belgian leaders amended their constitution 4 times between 1970 and 1993 to engineer a system of equal representation. They structured their central government so that the number of Dutch and French-speaking ministers is perfectly split 50-50. No single group can pass major laws without the other's consent. They also created a third layer of authority, called community government. Citizens elect representatives based entirely on their language group, Dutch, French, or German, no matter where they live in the country. This specific branch handles highly sensitive issues like culture, education, and language, keeping them separate from the central government's control. This extreme level of compromise worked. It diffused the ethnic tensions and created total political stability. The system was so successful that the European Union chose Brussels as the headquarters for its own parliament. Structuring a government this way looks incredibly messy and complicated on paper, but Belgium proves that engineered power sharing is a highly effective way to maintain long-term peace in a divided society. Belgium serves as a case study for how modern democracies actively engineer mechanical systems to ensure no single group holds every political card. The first framework is horizontal power sharing. In India, for example, power is divided across different government organs operating at the same level. You have the legislature, housed in the Indian Parliament, which writes the laws. Then you have the executive branch enforcing those laws, and the judiciary, like the Supreme Court, reviewing them. Each organ acts as a hard check on the others, creating a mechanical equilibrium where no single branch can dominate. The second framework is vertical power sharing, often called federalism. This takes authority from the central, national government and delegates it down to state and local municipalities. It ensures that local issues are handled by local leaders who actually understand them. Third, democracies share power among distinct social and linguistic groups. India does this through reserved constituencies, a system that guarantees legislative seats for historically weaker sections of society, so they are never sidelined from the political process. Finally, power is shared among political parties. When no single party wins a clear majority, rival ideologies are forced to team up and form coalition governments. Leaders have to negotiate, compromise, and find common ground to govern. These four mechanisms function as structural pressure release valves. They distribute political weight so mathematically, the demands of governance never crush the minority. So why do democracies intentionally slow themselves down with all this exhausting, complicated bureaucracy? There are two core answers. The first is what political scientists call the prudential reason. As Sri Lanka showed us, failing to accommodate different groups leads to violence. Sharing power is a calculated, pragmatic way to reduce conflict and ensure the nation simply survives. The second is the moral reason. The basic premise of democracy demands that citizens who are affected by government policies must have a legitimate voice in shaping them. A government only holds true legitimacy when everyone gets a seat at the table. A dictatorship might look highly efficient because it centralizes all control, but it is actually brittle. One solid strike can shatter it. A decentralized democracy safely absorbs shocks by distributing the tension across multiple interconnected groups. Sharing power is often mistaken for government weakness or inefficiency, but history proves the exact opposite. Willingly dividing power is the ultimate sign of a strong, mature, and resilient democracy.